Hey everybody, it's Lewis Porter Jr. Driving to work again. It is May the 1st. Trying to make these videos maybe one day, maybe, I don't know, one every other day, whatever. Or basically whenever something interesting happens on our Kickstarter, I want to talk about it so you people understand what's going on, so you can see what's going on. Alright, so yesterday I got in contact with four writers to speak to. Christina Stiles, Owen Casey Stevens, Neil Spicer, and Brandon Hodge. The bad news, we'll go bad news first because that's always better to open with bad and end with some good news. The bad news is that Brandon Hodge and Neil Spicer will not be able to do it due to personal reasons, which I can understand. I mean, they're both, they told me the reasons. I totally get that, I would love them to be on it, but they can't, and I totally get it. Not a problem. It was nice enough. I sent them the email explaining kind of what I wanted to do. They answered very quickly, and that's kind of something that you want in really any kind of writer. Someone who responds quickly. I mean, even if it's bad news, respond quickly. That's a winning piece, and all it tells me is like, okay, next time we can set something up. Maybe we'll go. Not a problem. Next was Christina Stiles. We had, I'm just going to tell you blank, we had a maybe, because the date looked good to her initially. I wasn't sure about the date and the deadline, and it was a strong maybe. That's where we were. And then last night she called me and said, hey, can you move the deadline? Can you move the deadline a little bit? And I'm thinking in my head, well, I've got to really rethink it, because the whole concept was to kind of be done with the project before it even starts Kickstarter. So this might be an issue right here. Also with that, I really wanted to, and this is going to sound crazy when people hear it, but it's just, I really kind of want to have an all-female written adventure path. Now, a lot of you are like, well, why do you want an all-female adventure written path? What does it matter? I'm like, well, it matters to me. I think it does matter to me. I think it's never been done. I can remember ever having an all-female one, right? Initially, when I created Neo Exodus, I wanted it to be an all-female role-playing game, because I wanted a different style of role-playing game with it. So, I've always had that in the back of my head. It's always in my back of my head thinking, how do I make the setting interesting to women who play it and also guys? I mean, it's going to sound, alright, this might sound a little sexist, but I'm just going to tell the truth. I think guys will play fantasy because it's fantasy and we'll just play it. Women want a little more immersion into the game. They want a little more, less of the hack and slash. Don't get me, I know a lot of women who like to hack and slash with the best, but I think there needs to be a real solid balance in between both. And I think, like I said, I think we've provided that with our games. We try to make them, yes, there is combat, because I'm a fan of combat. Let's not kid anybody. But I think that we've always tried to also do really great role-playing, telling great stories, and developing the stories like that. And I think, using women writers, I think in certain cases, they do it better than men. Sorry, guys. I think some do. Also, personally, I want to see more women writers in fantasy. I mean, I want to see more black writers in fantasy. I want to see more Asian writers in fantasy. I think fantasy is always, and when I say fantasy, I'm talking comic books, science fiction, the whole gambit of nerd-esque fun has really had a white male perspective for a very, very long time, and it's not a bad thing. But there are other voices out there that want to tell a story. I mean, like I said, the story I told for Neo Exodus is not a story that I think anyone else would have told, because certain people only like certain kinds of things, certain kind of fantasy, and they're only used to it. I'm trying to expose something that's really kind of different. One of the things that people, I think it's funny to me, but people always kind of notice but don't notice, is that in the setting of Neo Exodus, all the 5 major empires, 4 of them are run by women. We don't put it in super display. We have a big flag, but it's something we put into the writing. It's like, okay, this one's run by this one, and then the other remaining one, the Dominion, is run basically by a black male. And I don't think I know of many or any fantasy worlds where I see that kind of combination. And I thought that was something that I wanted to present. And people are saying, well, it shouldn't matter. And well, it shouldn't, but it does. It does matter. I think if you're doing fantasy and you're trying to attract a diverse audience, you should have diverse looking characters. There should be diversity in leadership roles. There should be diversity in villains. Every villain should not be the typical Snidely Whiplash twirling. They should all be very, very different from each other and very, very specific. And I think that's very, very important. So when I wrote Christina Stiles about this, I was like, who else could I get to write? And someone else who popped right in my head was Amber. Amber had written she wrote the write-up for our apocalypse annihilation sphere. Too many bad words of apocalypse, annihilation, a lot of angry words when we write. She wrote for the annihilation sphere, and that one I really loved it. I think, first of all, it's a cool item. When I pitched it to her originally, she's like, sure, I got it, no problem. And she went with it, and I love it. I think it's one of my favorite monsters that we've ever done on New Exodus. I love everything about it. It's an incredibly, devastating monster. But to me, the coolness is in the writing for it. So I think that was even Enzegeist gave it a 5. I think it was a 5-star review on that one. It's one of my favorite monsters we've done. So I thought about maybe getting in contact with her, and I sent her an email saying, hey, would you be interested? And I know she's very busy. She does a lot of stuff with Paizo, so she may or may not be able to get it. But I'd really like her to join if it's possible. If I can get her, hey, congratulations. I'm hoping, but, things do happen. People, are busy and stuff like that. So, and last but not least, I got in touch with Owen Casey Stevens. Now, apparently, everybody and their mother was calling Owen yesterday, as I found out afterwards. And I basically pitched Owen the idea, and I told him, hey, I'm looking for this. Would you be interested in doing that? And Owen, Owen is always looking to work because he's a hustler. He's a worker. Some people don't like to work, but Owen is not that guy. So I sent him the stuff. He sent me back an email. We've gone back and forth, and now it's back into my court because it's on my favorite word. That's right. What he wants to get paid. Now, what he wants to get paid, that's none of your business. That's his and I business. That's our business. But I, of course, am always trying to save some money. Oh, and of course, being like wants to make as much money as possible on this. I totally get that, and I totally think that's cool. So I think it's going to be one of those things of we're going to negotiate a price, we're going to find somewhere in the middle that we both agree with, and then we're going to go. And that's really 90% of the business that we do. Find some place in the middle where we're both happy, and then we go with it. So it looks like I can confidently say with a heavy maybe that we have Christina Stiles, if the deadlines can change, and Owen probably going to work on this project. But I'm going to have them work in different spots. And now you're going to say, well, Louis, you just said 5 seconds ago you wanted all women to work on this. I'm like, yes. Since this is going to be a 4-part adventure path, and I know I'm going to put it on Kickstarter, I had an idea from the early conception of, geez, I'd love to do like add-on threshold goals where I can get writers I know to do like 8,000 words, maybe 10,000 tops. We're not talking, not very, very long, but nice little encounter/vignettes or, wow, bad driving in Florida. Really? I mean, really? These little vignettes. And these vignettes are, 8,000 words, and then one writer will take something they liked about the adventure path and take it and write a little vignette about it. So suppose, and hasn't happened, so I can't say this is an adventure, but suppose we had a part where the adventurers met a certain individual that turned out that he was kind of shady. Well, we might do a spin-off of the encounter like that as a threshold goal and say, hey, tell Owen, hey, Owen, what's you doing, for example? Say, Owen, here's the kind of thing I want you to do. Here's this cool guy. I think you could do a cool little 8,000 word sidetrack to it. What do you think? Hey, let's go with it. Bam. And then let them go. And then put it at a certain threshold goal. What we're looking for. Okay, the threshold for this would be this amount of money. And if we raise this amount of money, Owen Casey Stevens is going to do it. And those add-ons, now realistically, those add-ons, we would not be paying for in advance. The AP, of course, the actual writing of the adventure path, yes. But that kind of add-on stuff, no. We couldn't afford to do that initially. We'd have to see if the fan base really wanted that. So if they did, they'd get it. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's not really super duper crazy, but people can understand. And like I said, I really would like to do this adventure path, but first and foremost, it needs to be done before we actually do the Kickstarter. Or, once again, kick finisher. But I think too many people get involved, and I'm going to say this, and it's not going to be, some people are going to be upset by this one, whatever. I don't think it's in the best interest of a company who really doesn't have a lot of product out, maybe like 3 or 4 products, to produce a Kickstarter to basically get their main book out and then have you wait 2 years to get it. And I've said it before, and I fundamentally have problems with that. And I mean, things do happen. Don't get me wrong. Things happen all the time in development. I know for a fact that, I've got Obsidian Apocalypse coming up, and we planned it for, I believe, it was either August or October. But, we're missing a big chunk of it due to something happening with the writers. It happens. It happens all the time, and you really can't get too mad about it. But, I just don't think that you should have people wait a long time to get the thing they asked for. I think 9 months is reasonable. I think, a year is okay. That's the latest. You get a year to develop it. Okay, in a year you can do it. That's a lot of time. You should be able to do it. It shouldn't be a big deal. If you can have the product done for them and ready for them when the Kickstarter is done, I think that's even better. Because it's like, okay, here's the product. Here's it done. Here's everything we said we promised. And the threshold add-ons that came on that we didn't expect to happen, well, they're going to come, and they're going to come, within the 9 months that we planned for the original release of the thing. I think that, to me, would be the win-win. I personally think that would be the coolest. Kickstarter ends, 4 days later, you get the big prize. Bam! Ta-da! And if you've done it right, you've gotten the money, you've paid off, then there's a lot of upfront costs. There's a lot of upfront costs. I've debated the front end cost of this stuff, and I know what the number is, and it's not a great number. The art alone probably is going to be about $5,000, and I'm like, oh, that's not what I want to hear. It's like, oh, those are high numbers. Those are, that's a lot of money, and it really isn't a lot of money, but it is, man. $5,000 is a lot of money. Don't kid anybody. Anybody passing me $5,000, I'm gonna be dancing for joy. So. It's tough, but I think if you manage it the right way and think about how you can make it happen, it can only be a good thing long term. So, just some thoughts. Okay, well, it's been almost 12 minutes, so I'm going to finish this up real quick. We also have some new products coming out probably Friday. Oh, before I forget, and I'll say this very quickly, I've just finished the layout on the complete edition for the Machinesmith. So anything and everything we've done for the Machinesmith up to this point, I just put them all in one big book. So that book's going to go to print, most likely this week or next, and they're going to be having it available in the Paizo store. And what I'm really hoping for, to have copies available for PaizoCon, so people can see it, they can have it, right there at the show, and they get all excited, they get signed by, I think I'm going to be there, JP's going to be there, JP worked on it, and I think some of the other guys who worked on it will be there. I have to check, I can't think in my head. I think because some were, I know Owen, well, I don't know if Owen will be there, but I know Owen did some work in it, so there's a lot of people who've worked on it, that you possibly get a sign. So I'm hoping to have it done by then. Alright, I'm finishing up, I'm almost at work, and I'm going to have myself a lovely day. I'll talk to you all later.